Okay, everyone, let's go through question 6 from the January 2023 CSEC Physics Paper 2. So for part A, the examiner is asking us to complete table 2 by inserting the types of radioactive emissions and their properties, right? So they already gave us a few properties for this first one. They gave us that the nature of it is that it's an electromagnetic radiation. It has a range of several kilometers in air. And then we're supposed to fill in, okay, what is the type of radioactive emission that this represents and what is it stopped by, right? So based on just the nature of it and the range that it has in air, we know that it's a pretty energetic one, right? A high frequency one. And so that's gamma rays. And we know that gamma rays are stopped by a thick piece of lead or concrete, right? So that's our first line that we filled out. And then for the second one, the second row, what they gave us is that the nature of the emissions is that it's a helium nucleus. So right away, that should clue us in to know that, hey, that's an alpha particle, right? So we put alpha particle here. And then the range in air for alpha particles is a few centimeters. And then they gave us that it's stopped by a sheet of paper. So with this information that they're giving us, we're able to figure out that it's an alpha particle and it has a range of a few centimeters in air, okay? So for the third row, the information that the examiner gave us was that the nature of this radioactive emission is that it's like an electron. We can liken it to an electron, and it has a range of a few meters in air. And so based on that information, we can say, okay, well, that's a beta particle because beta particles are likened to electrons. They have a range of a few meters in air. And then we're asked to fill in what stops them, right? They are stopped by a few millimeters of aluminum, okay? And so with that, we're good for our 3 marks. We've completed this table, okay? So for part B, we are asked to define the term isotopes, right? So isotopes are atoms of the same element that have the same atomic number, but a different mass number, right? So it would be like this. So we have an element Y, and it has an atomic number, and it has a mass number A and an atomic number Z, right? Atoms of the same element that have the same Z, but their A, which is their mass number, is different. So that would be an isotope. So an isotope of that would be, say, this is A1, then this would be A2. The Z would be the same. And they're both elements, they're both atoms of the element Y, but their atomic number is the same and their mass number is different, right? In the one case it's A1, in the other case it's A2. These we call isotopes. They have the same number of protons. That's characteristic of what the atomic number represents. It's a number of protons. But what's different about these two is the number of neutrons, because we know that this number, the mass number A1, right, is made up of the number of protons and neutrons that are in the nucleus of that atom. So over here, right, we might have then that A2 is equal to P. So the P is the same. That's the atomic number. The number of protons are the same, but what's different is the neutrons, right? So this would be N2 and this is N1. So these are different between isotopes. The number of neutrons that are in the nucleus of the atoms differ. And as a result of that, the mass number, which is this A up top, are different, okay? So isotopes are atoms of the same element. Using our example, the element is Y, and they're both atoms of Y, but then they have the same atomic number, but their mass numbers are different. And that's because the neutrons that are in that nucleus, in the nucleus of each of them, are different, okay? So that's isotope in a nutshell. So let's clear that and scroll down a bit to see what else there is. So for part C, the question asks us, telling us that the structure of an atom of an element Y, showing the number of neutrons N, protons P and electrons is represented in this figure, figure 11, right? So we're looking at figure 11 now, the structure of an atom of this element Y. We can see that here's our nucleus, and in our nucleus, we have 5 protons and we have 6 neutrons, right? So when we add those two together, that should give us our mass number. So mass number that we get would be what? 11. That's what I've written here. And then our proton number is 5, and the number of electrons is also 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's just our atomic number there, right? It's either the number of protons or the number of electrons, and that's 5. So this would be our symbol to represent that element Y, right? Per this structure that's shown here. So they ask us to state the mass number and atomic number of this atom. Again, our mass number is just the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. And so we add the 5 plus the 6 and we get 11. That's what I've shown here. And then for the atomic number, it's either the number of the protons or the number of electrons, which we said is 5 in both cases. So it's 5 here, and that's what I've shown here in this symbol as well, okay? So this would get us our 2 marks. So moving along, they asked us now for part 2 to write the symbol for another possible isotope of element Y. Now remember we said isotopes are atoms of the exact same element, right? So this element, but they have the same atomic number and a different mass number. So all we have to do is just write another atom of this element Y. It has the same atomic number but a different mass number, and that mass number could either be 1 more or 1 less, or just anything that's different, just a different mass number, right? And so in our case, in this particular example, I just chose to write 12, right? So again, atomic number is the same in both cases, but the mass number, which is this larger number up here, are different, and that's due to a difference in the number of neutrons, right? So that's all that we needed to do there. So I came down here and I just wrote that, right? My 12Y, my 12, 5Y, and that's a possible isotope. Same atomic number as before, but a different mass number, okay? All right, so moving down to part D. D part I reads that a polonium-210 nucleus decays by alpha particle emission to a lead nucleus. Complete the equation for the decay of polonium-210, right? So whenever we have alpha decay, right, the mass number decreases by 4, and the atomic number also decreases, and it decreases by 2. And that's because, as we said earlier, we can liken alpha emission to a helium nucleus that has a mass number of 4 and an atomic number of 2. So whenever we have an alpha particle being emitted from the nucleus of our atom here, then that's gonna decrease by, the mass number is gonna decrease by 4. So if that decreases by 4, we end up with 206. And if the atomic number decreases by 2, then we end up with 82, right? So that's how we get this lead nucleus of a mass number 206 and an atomic number of 82. And then of course, we have our helium nuclei that was emitted from this, okay? So that's all that's required from us for 3 marks. And so moving along to part 2, we're talking about the same polonium isotope. So polonium-210 has a half-life of 138 days, right? So that means that any amount of polonium that we start with, after 138 days, we'll have half that amount. So that's what half-life means, right? How long does it take for my sample to decrease by a half, right? So the question continues on that at a certain time, a sample contains 6.4 times 10 to the 6 polonium nuclei. Calculate the number of polonium nuclei that remains after 552 days, right? So essentially what's happening here is this setup here. We know that the half-life is 138 days. They told us that. So we can then say, okay, as a time is equal to t. So initially, let's say we have that 6.4 times 10 to the 6 polonium nuclei, right? At a final time, then 552 days later, how many half-lives would we have gone through, right? So to find how many half-lives we would have gone through by the time we get to that 552 days, I just divided, right, 552 by 138 to see how many half-lives later would 552 days be. And so when I do that division, I come out with that's 4 half-lives later, right? So remember, we're starting at a time t is equal to 0, and then at the end period will be 552 days later. So we just do, okay, 552 days later divided by the time taken for it to go to half, or its half-life, to get how many half-lives later that 552 days is, and we got 4, right? So now we come down here and we're just saying, okay, for my first half-life, I'm going to decrease by half. The amount of polonium nuclei is going to decrease by half. So this transition represents my first half-life, right? So my first half-life, which is 138 days, I'm going to be left with 3.2 times 10 to the 6 polonium nuclei. Then after the second half-life, right, so 2t halves, I'm going to end up with half of this amount, so that's 1.6 times 10 to the 6 polonium nuclei. And then after my third half-life, I'm going to end up with 0.8 times 10 to the 6 polonium nuclei, which is half of this. And then after 4 half-lives now, which is what the 552 days represent, that's what they're asking us about. So that's after 4 half-lives, 4 t halves, right? I'm going to end up with half of this, which is 0.4 times 10 to the 6 polonium nuclei. So that's our answer, guys. After 552 days, we will have 0.4 times 10 to the 6 polonium nuclei remaining. Okay? So just make sure that when you see a question about half-lives, you're immediately thinking, okay, what does half-life mean again? Okay. And so how many half-lives have I gone through by the time I get to this endpoint that they're asking about? And then you can work accordingly to see how much of your sample would remain. And so that's exactly what we did here. And we ended up with, we went through 4 half-lives, and so we end up with 0.4 times 10 to the 6 polonium nuclei remaining, okay, after that 552 days. So that's all for this question. As usual, feel free to drop a comment down below if you're not understanding how we arrived at our answers, and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.